What's going on, everybody? Good morning. It's Creative Fro checking back in for a daily vlog. Today is Tuesday, March 24th. I'm probably going to work on some editing. I've been itching to pick up my gimbal and get some shooting or work on some stop motion or something creative. So today I'll take you through whatever process I do and try to give you some information of what I'm doing, so hopefully it can help you achieve the same looks yourself. Yeah, other than that, nothing too much is going on. I have breakfast ready to go, so I'm going to go in and eat that, and I'll take you along for the rest of the ride.
Late on into the day here, I have a sandwich ready for lunch. I have yesterday's leftover pasta also. I'm just going to put some nutritional yeast on top of here. That's a lot. And hot sauce. It's ready. I have my last little bits of tofu that I had from the other day too as well. So I'm going to put that on top of the pasta. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do, instead of doing stop motion or working with my gimbal today, I want to show you how my creative process works. More specifically when it comes to photos. So I did some photos the other day in my vlog with Carly, and I have them all ready to edit now. So I just want to take you through my process of how I go about editing these photos. And this is the same process I use for any job that I do. So I think this could be helpful. If someone's new out there that wants to learn how to get into photo editing, this can help a lot. We have Lightroom open. I will only use Lightroom to edit the color and the lighting of the photo. And we could choose which ones we want to keep and which ones we want to delete. So I'll just go through and X each photo that I don't like and go through and start 5-starring the photos that I do like and I want to edit. Now, if you want to choose one that you like, you can do any number, but I like putting 5 stars. And now you see it has placed 5 stars at the bottom of the photo. Same thing, you could put 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, etc. And that's how you go about selecting the photos you want to edit. Now, I'm not going to go through and do that all for this video, but let's just go through and find one that I would like to edit. Normally in the photo, what I'm looking for, one that I like, it has good composition. Carly's face is in focus, that her eyes aren't closed or anything like that. And the lighting is like usually the few things I'm looking at when I go to edit a photo. Okay, let's start with this one. I really like this one. What I'm doing now, since this photo is a little bit darker, we're gonna need to bring some more light into this photo clearly. So the first thing that I normally do when I go to edit a photo is I'll play around with the exposure first. So this we'll want to bring up since we need more light, because if we bring it the other way, it's gonna make it darker. And normally I don't try to pull this over 1 exposure, so you can see 1.25. I try not to go anywhere over 1. Try to keep it under 1, because the more exposure you bring in equals the more grain that's going to be present in the photo. And I normally like to bring my contrast down, especially for photos with people in them. I just like how it looks. You can go the other way if you want more contrast. And what I'll do, since the highlights are a little bright behind her, I'm going to pull back the highlights. And now you can see it really cleared up the window, because if we pulled it this way, it's going to overexpose Carly. So we'll want to keep it down there. And shadows, I want to bring these up a little bit to kind of bring out Carly a little bit more. And as you can see, as I bring these shadows up, it's bringing a lot more light into the shadowed area. Oh, and one last thing I suggest, this might even be a better thing to start off with, is cropping your photo. Because I notice when I go and edit a whole photo and then I have to crop it for Instagram, after the crop I don't love it. So this can save your bacon before you go through the whole edit. Instagram is 4:5. So let's just frame this up right around there. Nice. Okay, see, I like this crop. Then I don't like the stuff at the bottom here, just to make sure that's not in the shot. We'll go like that. That's better. So now for the whites, I'm gonna bring them down a little bit, just because the window back there is pretty white. Normally I bring it down, but this time bring it up. I like how that looks. So I'm gonna leave it right around there. So you don't always have to do the same thing every time. Play around with these sliders and see what you like and what resonates with you. I'm going to pull the blacks down. I normally pull the blacks down anyways. I want to make sure we fix up the white balance. Normally when I go to edit photos is I try to balance this whole histogram up here to where there's not too much sticking out on the sides, because here you can see the yellow and the red and we have the blues kind of sticking out. So I try my best to match them together. I used to use the auto white balance tool, but I like just to practice by looking at the histogram and just playing by that, and then looking at the photo, see what I like. So as you see, I'm pulling them all together. I like how that color is coming together, just adding more blues into it. And our purple seems to be poking out a bit. I can try pulling it back. There we go. So that's an awesome look there. And now you can see, keep an eye on the histogram here. I'm gonna pull the greens all the way down.
and now you can see the green is way to the right, and look at the photo. I'm not too sure how to scientifically explain how the histogram works. There's a bunch of tutorials out there you can look up if you're more interested in that. But so whenever I'm shooting a person, a subject, I will never bring the texture up either. This is something I like to bring down to 5 every time. Now if I'm shooting a building or anything outdoors that has nothing to do with the person, I'll bring up the texture so it brings in more character into the photo. This helps smooth it out a little bit. So I do the same with clarity as well, because it pretty much does the same thing. And now the dehaze, this is just pretty much adding haze in the photo or taking it out. You can see if you keep going, it just pretty much ruins the photo. So I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. Sometimes I bring it up, sometimes I take it down, just depending on the photo. More so outdoor photos, I'll usually always end up bringing this up, but since we were using the natural lighting, we had no external lighting, I'm gonna bring this up to kind of balance out some of that natural light. And then the vibrance and saturation for myself personally, I like to bring it to -5 so I can add in the colors I want later. I'm still trying to develop my own kind of style, so usually a lot of people will play with the vibrance, bring that up, bring the saturation up, but for me, I don't really like that look anymore, because that's how I used to edit photos when I was first starting out. So now with this curve layer, this tone curve, this is something I always use too as well. And you want to make 3 anchor points. So this is our shadows, here's our midtones, and this is our highlights. And what we can do now is add a little slight S curve into this, and this is going to help really bring out the tone in the photo. So you'll see as I bring this down, the shadows start to get tucked in a little bit more, and then the highlights, we can bring that down a little bit too. Same with the midtones, you can bring it up. I like it. I kind of like up a bit, brings up some more in the photo, and I'll just adjust that. And you want to just tweak this to your liking. It's very finicky though, so you don't want to go too far, or else you're going to destroy the photo. So make sure if you're ever playing with the curves that it's oh so subtle. Say I wanted to take away the blue of Carly's jeans, I could click the saturation tab here. So we're in saturation, not hue or luminance, saturation. I'm going to click this selector so we can select just a certain color. And now if we zoom in, I'm using Command plus to zoom in there. Now you use the space, you hold down, and you can drag to where you want to get to. Okay, here we go. So do I have that pointer selected? So we're going to use this and pull down. And as I pull down, you're going to see the blue comes out of the jeans. So you can make it a little like less saturated. And if you want to change the color of this blue, you could go to the hue and choose the selector again, pull it down to make the jeans look a little more aqua, or bring up to make them more of like a purpley dark color. So leave it on there. Luminance is just the light of that color. So if you want them darker jeans, if you want them to be brighter jeans, maybe I'll just leave it up right around there. Yeah, that's how you go about changing a selective color. And you don't have to use this picker. You can just pretty much straight up pull the tab itself, and then you know what color you're pulling if you're selecting that color. And then you could go to color, and you could select the color here, and it just gives you the saturation, luminance, and hue. And you can see we've already adjusted it. Now split toning, this is something I don't normally do, because I myself am still trying to learn basic color theory. And I know I should have learned this in elementary school, but I didn't pay attention so well. So now I'm paying the price and learning now. But pop up a little image here, because I have it on my phone. And whenever I'm editing photos and I'm not too sure what color goes with what, I have a favorite here. And this tells me, so say we want to add some yellow into the highlights. The opposite of yellow is purple, so you want to add purple into the shadows. Or say you want to make a photo a little bit more blue in the highlights. Well, the opposite of blue is a red-orange, so you'd want to put red-orange in the shadows. So I've been just following this photo guide here, and then have been using these color schemes to edit my photos. And it's called a complementary color scheme. In order for this to work, what I normally do is I'll click this box here, and I'll just start in the middle on this red. As you can see, that doesn't really look so good right now, but what we can do is adjust the hue of this. And this is gonna give us a good view of what it would look like at each different hue. Kind of like in the yellow there. To be honest, I normally don't leave the saturation that high. I would always pull it back down. So let's leave it around there. Yeah, I like yellow, to be honest. And then we'll bop up to the shadows. And the opposite of yellow is purple, so let me get the purple in there. And the saturation is pretty high, so I'm going to pull that back down. Just adjust it a little bit more to where I like it. And if you want to see what it looked like before and after, I feel like her skin looks a little more red than I'd like, but I'm going to press Y. And this is a before and after, so you can see what we've already done. This is good, but it's showing up a little too red to me. And now that I'm looking here, I can see the reds there. So what I'll do is I'll go to the saturation and go to the red tab, And just pull that down like a little bit, see if it does anything. Yeah, I'm not loving. See, even sometimes I have to play with this. Is why I don't love always adding a split tone into the photo. Okay, I think it looks less red. And know what I'm gonna do actually is use the saturation and pick Carly's skin there and just pull it down a little bit. Okay, now let me zoom back at it here. Okay, that looks better to me. This is where I can get kind of stuck sometimes. I'm just making sure. Okay, I think the skin's good. The next thing I like to do is use the sharpening tool. So you're gonna hold down Alt and pull right on the masking here. And as you can see, as I'm pulling right, it's showing what's in focus. So what you can see here is what the camera got in focus, the whiter area. And then the luminance. So this is the next part. You can pull this up to about wherever you really want to. I had a lower ISO, so I don't really need to pull up my luminance too much, because if you had a higher ISO, you'd want more luminance in it, because it will bring down that grain that comes in the photo from taking at such a high ISO. And over here at lens correction, I will always choose remove chromatic aberrations. But let me just uncheck that again so you can kind of see what it's doing. As you can see, there's kind of a green cast here on the blinds and the edges of Carly's jeans. So when I select remove chromatic aberrations, that is removed now. And then I'm gonna enable profile corrections for my lens. And then that's just gonna pretty much just adjust to make it look better, but add some more light into it is what I really notice it does. And then the vignette, I like to open this up here under the manual tab here, beside profile. Bring this up so it just kind of lightens up the edges. If you want it darker, you can go that way, but I just like to bring it up. And then we're gonna level it out. And sometimes this level will wonk out your photo. So if it does that, just turn it off and don't use it. And the last little things that I like to do now, this is the final tool down here called the calibration. I like to pull the bottom blue primary up a little bit, so we bring the blue colors back into the photo. And I do the same with like the reds and greens just to see how it looks. There's, like I said, there's no really like total science to me for it. I'm still trying to learn colors and stuff, so sometimes I pull the wrong color, it makes it look worse, or sometimes it looks better. But what I'm doing right now is just playing around with it. And if I want to make it a little bit more like teal and orange or something like that, I would play around with the hues of the blues. So you notice if we bring it all the way down here, we're getting a much more teal and orange look. So we don't need it that much. Let's go like 5. And then I'll bring a little bit more orange hue into it. Let's see how this looks. 6. And then normally I don't ever end up playing with the green hue, but let's just see if we were to do it today what it would look like. Let's see if it's done. All right, so now you can see the before photo on the left and then the after photo on the right hand side here. And that's pretty much what I would do to edit this photo. I'm gonna look back on the skin. I think the skin looks really good. Nothing else I can notice that's distracting. Yeah, I really like this photo, to be honest. That's an awesome photo. To make the rest of my editing process easier, I would Command C, and you can see this whole copy settings box pops up. I'm gonna copy everything from this photo, and now let's say we're gonna edit this photo here. Just for an example, that's a little bright. Maybe, well, because I would know what photo I like, so I would just go to the next photo that had 5 stars on it, and I can go Shift Command V. And that's gonna paste every setting that I just had on that last photo onto here. And then all you have to do is adjust the settings here, because you can see it changed all the tools to what fits better for this photo. So I'm gonna go through and just play around with this. It's gonna give you a more consistent look throughout your photos, rather than trying to edit each photo on its own. Then you're gonna have a lot of inconsistencies in between each photo, especially if you're gonna be editing photos for a company that needs headshots or group photos. You don't want them to look too off, and you want it to have a consistent look. So this is a great way to ensure that you have that consistent look across all photos. There's editing photos with the Creative Pro. Alright everyone, I think I'm going to close out the vlog here today. That recording the voiceover for editing a photo took 20 minutes, so I feel like this video is going to be a little too long if I keep showing what I'm doing. The only thing I'm going to do after this is have chili later tonight and do a yoga session. Probably a little bit of like exercising too as well after. Moving forward with these vlogs, I would like to try to incorporate somewhat of a lesson or editing tutorial or something that you can gain value from, because I feel like just picking up the camera, showing the food I'm eating and the workouts I'm doing aren't really helping anybody out there. And I myself, a creator, had a hard time with a lot of the things that I am doing now. So I think it's a better idea if I give my take on how I go about doing things. I think that would be better for everyone. Tomorrow's gonna be exciting because what I want to do is I want to do something with a gimbal or stop motion, like I said earlier today. But I think what's even cooler is to show you how I go about turning old VHS tapes into cool things called alternative edits. So I can show you how to make some GIFs and just my process behind these alternative edits. And yeah, maybe just make these videos a little bit more of like a creative base to it. Show you like how I use the camera, things I do to make the images I make and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be more fun for me to create too as well. Just showing my process, breaking it down, how it works, and yeah, just the whole 9 yards. That's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I will pick up the camera again tomorrow for some more exciting creating. Everybody out there, stay safe and stay healthy. I'll see you tomorrow.